What's up? Welcome back to a new video. As you can see from the title, today I'm basically just telling you guys how I got Dark Matter Ultra, and it might be able to help some of you out, maybe not, especially when it comes to the rocket launchers, because holy, I was trying to search up tutorials for that, and all the tutorials were like 2 to 3 weeks old, so a lot of them were very painful because I had to pretty much like learn as I went. Yeah, I actually got Dark Matter Ultra about 2 weeks ago, but I'm barely posting this now because honestly I needed a break after playing that game straight for about a month. I basically just felt a little drained, I guess you can say. So I just wanted to take a little break and then get to the editing process after, taking a bit of a break. I know I've said break quite a lot of times. Okay, I'm going to stop saying break. But yeah, so basically, all I've been doing lately is just playing Steam games, I guess you can say. Like Phasmophobia with Pluto, just to get my head off of things, or my mind off of things, in other words. But yeah, now I'm actually uploading this. I really hope that this helps out some of you guys, because I sure wish when I started going for Dark Matter Ultra, I started with the rocket launchers and the pistols and shotguns. In other words, I wish I started with the secondaries, because those were a pain in the ass after the flap jacket buff, and just in general, it would have been really great to just get that off, like, or in other words, over with to begin with. But it was my choice to go in order and start with the ARs and go on and so forth. So yeah, I kind of screwed up by doing that, but yeah, I'm gonna stop talking and hope you guys find this helpful, and yeah, let's get straight into the video. So to start off, we have the ARs. Starting off with the M4. Honestly, that one's just simple. I really didn't have much trouble with the M4, and when it came to the AK, I also did not have much trouble when it came to the AK. It's just both guns that honestly, as long as you rank them up, you should be fine. When it came to the Krig 6, it's basically the same thing. It's all just honestly about time consuming and just the process of like how long you're like, or how much time you're really willing to put into the guns, I guess you can say. But then again, you are going for Dark Matter Ultra, so obviously you're gonna put the time into it. For those three main ARs, the M4, the AK, and the Krig 6, I can't really say anything about those guns really hard. If you struggle with the cover kills, all I really suggest is just playing game modes like Assault and just hiding behind barriers and just waiting for people to peek you behind other barriers, like window to window on the boat map. That's honestly like one of the easiest. Honestly, you just get the cover kills like while you're playing most of the time, especially since there's double XP right now. Your gun is gonna rank up really fast. You're gonna start those higher challenges before you're even actually trying to go for them, unless you're just going spread out. When it comes to the QB 83, that gun was honestly not that bad. At first, I guess with no attachments, it can be a little bit of a pain, but once you start putting attachments on it, that gun is honestly, it's not too bad. Same thing with all the other ARs. Like, honestly, as long as you use it, you'll get the hang of it, and it shouldn't be that bad. When it came to the FAR, honestly, or the FAR, however you guys pronounce it, this was actually a really fun gun to use, in my opinion, because it was like an upgrade when it came to the firing rate compared to all the other ARs that I was using, because at the point when I was going for ARs is when the game first came out, and when the game first came out, it was around the time when the MP5 was like insanely broken. Like, yeah, it's somewhat broken still, but back then it was insanely broken. So yeah, it was a bit of a pain that I was constantly losing to MP5s all the time. So when I got to the FAR, it was actually like a relief, I guess, because I was actually able to win sometimes, and overall it was like if I was using an SMG, but in the AR class. The FR, or FAR again, however you pronounce, I'm going to just say FAR. It was actually one of the easiest ones, in my opinion. I think I got it gold the fastest out of all my ARs. Either that one or the AK. Those two compete for how fast I got them gold. But yeah, you shouldn't really struggle with the FAR. Maybe the long shots might be a little bit of a pain, but I did all my long shots in core game modes, actually. So I didn't find them too hard. But if you honestly still struggle, then feel free to go to hardcore and just line yourself up in like pretty back positions, or wherever you think should be a long shot. They actually now made it so you can see your medals in hardcore. Before they didn't do that, but so now you can actually tell if you're getting the long shot or not. Before, when I was like doing some guns in hardcore, the medals weren't there, so it's just a bit of a whiff. But yeah, honestly, the ARs were not too bad. But yeah, let's move on to the SMGs. The SMGs were definitely a step up from the ARs. They were pretty fun to use, especially around this time. Like I said, SMGs. At the time when I used the MP5, it was probably still in the OP stages, like the really OP ones. So I enjoyed just absolutely killing people with no skill. But yeah, SMGs were definitely pretty fun in my opinion. The MP5, it really wasn't that much of a problem, obviously. It's all about, like I said, with the ARs, just how much time you put into it. The MP5, the only big problem I guess you can say I had with it was maybe just the long shots. Obviously, that's a little bit with all the SMGs. The long shots were a bit of a pain because even in hardcore, at long range, it's mainly a 2-shot, so it's a bit of a struggle sometimes to hit both shots to be able to get the long shot, but it wasn't too much of a problem. The Milano, same thing, really wasn't that hard. Just got to get used to switching from the fire rate of the MP5 to the Milano because the Milano's pretty slow. But in my opinion, it's a pretty good gun. I enjoyed it. Same thing with the long shots. Just do hardcore. You might take a little bit because of the double hit marker and stuff, but wasn't too much of a problem. The AK-74 was actually a pretty fun gun to use in my opinion. It was pretty much like the MP5, I guess, but just in my opinion, it was a little better at most scenarios. Obviously, the MP5 still won when you go head to head, but it was still pretty fun in my opinion. Just mainly because it was pretty accurate. Same thing with the long shots. Nothing really else new to add to that. The KSP, I will admit, was pretty annoying because of the burst, and since I did most of my guns in core except the long shots, I did get pretty annoyed at times with the KSP. But once you get more attachments to it and start leveling it up more, you kind of get a hang of it and you start getting enjoyment out of it because it's actually a pretty good gun in my opinion. The KSP was actually the first gun I got a kill chain with. Yeah, I believe it was. It was the first gun I got a kill chain with, so that was actually pretty fun. And then same thing with the long shots. Nothing really new to add. It's just play hardcore. It might take you a little bit long, but no other challenges are really too hard. The Bullfrog was probably the easiest SMG in my opinion, just because of how good it was. it was just really good. But yeah, I'm assuming some people might have the struggle with the point blank kills. For point blank kills, the easy way I recommend to do it is go into assault, use the perk ninja so that you can sneak around behind their spawns, and when you're behind them, you're gonna tend to see there's usually quite a lot of snipers camping in the back or just people chilling in the back. Just pretty much get right behind them and just kill them like that. You should get the point blank kills pretty easy like that if you're just constantly rotating throughout their spawn, especially since assault games take quite a while. But yeah, that's the easiest way that I got my point blank kills at least. You could add laser sight if you want. Might help you a little bit, but considering you're sneaking around, I don't really think it's necessary, but if you want it, you want it. But yeah, that's pretty much all for the SMGs. Nothing too bad, just the long shots. Just might take a little while because the 2-hit in hardcore. And the point blank kills, just if you want to use my strategy, you can. If not, then just play normally and you'll get them as time goes on. But yeah, nothing really new to add to that. So yeah, let's move on to the Tac-Ars. Starting with the Tac-Ars, we have the Type 63. The Type 63, honestly, was actually a pretty fun gun to use because of the 2-hit kill. It reminded me a lot of the Shiva from Black Ops 3. If you know, you know. That gun was pretty good. This gun pretty much reminded me of that. This gun did not really bring about any struggles in my opinion. The kills were pretty simple. The headshots, they happened naturally. Bloodthirsties were honestly pretty easy. And yeah, the long shots obviously were also pretty easy considering how fast this gun actually kills people. Nothing really too much to say about the Type 63. Honestly, once again, the hardest thing I guess you can say was probably just the cover kills. But in my opinion, they weren't even hard. Just do the same thing. Just go on assault or domination, the big game mode, not the small one. You could do the small one, but you're probably not gonna have such a high amount of cover kills you get per game. But in my opinion, if you play the assault game mode, before it used to be called Chaos Mosh Pit, basically just hide behind barriers, like I said, or window to window on Nuketown or anything like that, where you're basically behind cover and someone else is behind cover. You don't always have to be behind cover, but it just helps out. And yeah, you just kill them like that. And honestly, that's the easiest way in my opinion. Moving on to the M16. The M16, honestly, wasn't that bad either in my opinion. The M16 actually was pretty fun to use considering at the time. And the most annoying guns to fight against were the M16, MP5, and the AUG. So when I got to the M16, oh boy, I was happy. It does get a little while to get used to, and the initial AHOG sight is not the best. But the M16, in my opinion, was a pretty good gun once you get attachments onto it. Sometimes it does not always guarantee the one burst. You got to keep that in mind. But still, it's a pretty good gun, in my opinion. You really got to complain about it. Like I said, nothing really too much to struggle with on that gun. Just time. Just honestly, all guns really just take time. And same thing with the cover kills. Just do the same thing that I've just been saying previously. Unless you have a different strategy, then you do you. Moving on to the AUG. This gun was amazing. It's just straight up like that. I think this was the fastest gun I got gold out of any guns during the Dark Matter grind. The AUG, it has the highest success rate for one burst out of all the burst guns in this game. Like, it is just amazing. It is so OP, and I loved it. Once again, really got nothing to complain about when it comes to the AUG. Like I said, maybe just the cover kills, but I found no struggle one bursting people behind cover. It really was just not much of a problem in my opinion. But yeah, moving on to the final Tac-Ar is the DMR 14. On the DMR 14, that gun was pretty much like the Type 63, but in my opinion, it was not as good. They're both single tap guns or semi-automatics, and in my opinion, the Type 63 is actually better than the DMR 14. The DMR, yeah, it's good, but I don't know. I just like the Type 63 better. We all have our different tastes. They're both basically the exact same gun, just different names. So honestly, you might like the DMR more than the Type 63, and that's up to you. But that's just my personal opinion, honestly. Same thing that I've said for all the other ones. Nothing too hard about it, just time consuming. And the cover kills, you just get them basically by just getting behind cover and doing what I've been saying, or just do it your own way or get them naturally while you're playing. The reason I'm saying get them naturally, even though you're saying, oh, isn't that like level 40 for the gun? Well, Cold War, since the game basically just came out, they've been dropping a lot of double XP weekends and double weapon XP weekends, so you're going to get your gun ranked up pretty fast before you're even done with most of the camos. So that's mainly why I've been always saying just get them naturally, probably as you play. But yeah, nothing really too hard about the Tac-Ars. They're honestly one of the easiest class sets in my opinion. You don't really need a tutorial for them, but I'm just talking about it just in case if anybody really needed, I guess, my opinion on it or just a little help on it. But yeah, moving on to the LMGs. So beginning with the LMGs, we have the Stoner 63. The Stoner 63, my bad, is in my opinion a pretty fun gun to use. It was, in other words, like the MP5 of the LMGs in my opinion. It killed people pretty fast. The only downside of it was probably the ADS time. It takes a little bit of aim in, but you kill people pretty fast. It has a lot of ammo, and in my opinion, it's just a really good gun. For the Stoner, I really had no problems with it. Maybe just a little bit on the cover kills because there'd be many times when I just get killed first, but the majority of the time, cover kills really weren't too much of a struggle. I just use the same strategy I've been saying of just getting behind barriers or killing people from window to window in Nuketown, or simply just doing window to window in the boat, or anything that you feel is a cover kill. Like, you just have to try out different things if one is not working for you. So yeah, in general, the Stoner, it was not really a hard gun at all. But obviously, people have struggles with different guns. You know, people play different like gaming styles. So maybe this gun was a bit of a struggle for you. I don't know. In my opinion, it really wasn't. But you shouldn't really have that much of a hard time if you just simply play the game like you normally play it. Moving on to the RPD, being the second LMG. The RPD reminded me quite a lot of the Stoner, except in my opinion, it's not as good as the Stoner. The RPD is still a really good LMG in my opinion. You shouldn't really have any struggles. If you just play the same way you played with the Stoner, you honestly just get the gun gold in the same way. The Stoner, basically, I got that gun gold, I say maybe within the same day I started it, and the RPD took me a little bit longer time just because I wasn't having that much of a success rate with the cover kills. But that's mainly because I was just getting sniped nonstop. So yeah, that's one thing about the window to window. You might get sniped, but not the majority of the time. So in general, the RPD is not that hard. Just follow the same steps, like I said, and you should be fine. Moving on to the M60. The M60 is actually a bit of a pain sometimes. It's kind of like the Gorgon from BO3. It is, in a way, semi-automatic. It's not really semi-automatic. I just call it that because of how long it takes to aim in and shoot. It is so slow. Its fire rate is insanely slow. But honestly, I don't think you should have too much of a struggle with the M60, considering it's basically a two-shot kill. So as long as you're not pushing in like you would be pushing in with the MP5, like in a room or something, you should be fine. Same thing with the cover kills and everything. I don't really think you should have too much of a struggle as long as you just do the same thing about window to window. And honestly, that's all you really got to do. Once again, the LMGs, they really were nothing to worry about. Kind of like the Tac-Ars, you basically just get them gold as you play. There's nothing too difficult about them or anything that should make you struggle. Obviously, Just take your time with it, and however much time you put into the game is how much time you're gonna have to get the gun gold. I know that made absolutely no sense what I just said, but in my head it did. But yeah, like just overall LMGs were not that hard. Maybe just the cover kills, but just same thing like how it is with the Tac-Ars and the normal ARs. Cover kills, you just get them by taking cover and just following the steps that I've said. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm probably gonna have I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm gonna have timestamps, so maybe you're not watching the other section, so you might not even know that I'm repeating myself. But yeah, that's all there really is to the LMGs. Moving on to the next class category, we have the snipers. The first sniper being the Pellington. I really did not have too much struggle with the Pellington. Actually, on this build map you're seeing, I actually went 27-0 with the Pellington in one of my games. So yeah, the Pellington is not that bad at all. I can't admit at the beginning, maybe when you don't have it like that many attachments onto it, the Pellington might be a pain because of the hit markers. The hit markers are not that as common as they were in the beta and the alpha, but they're still pretty common, and obviously they still happen. So when you're sniping, whether it's hard scoping or quick scoping, just make sure you aim high, especially with the Pellington, maybe like chest area, and you shouldn't really have too much of a problem when it comes to hit markers. I did not really have too much struggle with any of the camos for the Pellington. Maybe just the Bloodthirsties and double kills. For Bloodthirsties, all you gotta do is just camp somewhere and just you get the kills and kills and kills and kills and boom, just got rack up 5 every time. Not really with the Pellington though, in my opinion, because I just like quick scoping, so I got the Bloodthirsties pretty fast. When it comes to the double kills, honestly, you either get those by usually just sniping, or you can just simply flank, and you should find a couple people camping in the back spawn, depending on what game mode you're playing. And yeah, that should be one of the easier ways to get the double kills, but nothing too hard once again. The long shots, you just get them naturally, usually considering you're sniping, so you're probably usually at long range. The easiest like spots for me, in my opinion, are, as you can see in this boat map, just somewhere here and just shooting. Yeah, you don't get it every shot, but when you do, it's a guaranteed long shot. So yeah, but nothing really too hard about the Pellington, in my opinion. One of the easier snipers, definitely not the easiest, but didn't have too much of a struggle. But just keep in mind, if you still have too much of a struggle with hit markers, just go into hardcore. But I really do not recommend using a sniper in hardcore, especially if it's team deathmatch, because the spawns are gonna absolutely clap your cheeks. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about the Pellington. Moving on to the LW3 Tundra. This sniper, it does aim in a lot slower than the Pellington. You definitely feel the difference, but the Tundra is stronger and it's pretty fun to use. The Tundra is pretty much the same thing as the Pellington. Just do the same thing you did with the Pellington, and you should get the camos no problem. I don't really recommend quick scoping with the Tundra that much unless you practice quick scoping, because obviously since it aims in slower, you might have a lot of a struggle at times when you're in rooms or just in general when somebody's in front of you. Having laser sight does help out a lot. I did get a lot of no scope sometimes when people were in my face, so you could put on laser sight. You don't have to, but it is something that might help you out and keep you alive in certain situations. But yeah, once again, nothing too hard for the Tundra. Just do the same thing you did for the Pellington. Then we get to the M82, or the Barrett, in other words. This sniper, I honestly thought it would have been a bit of a pain in the ass, because I did not know how much damage it did, or like if it guaranteed the one shot. And it's safe to say that it's a 50-50. You do get a lot of hit markers, but you also get a lot of one-shot kills. I got more one-shot kills than I got hit markers with the M82. But in general, the M82 is not anything too hard. Just keep in mind that if you keep spamming the shoot button, considering it is a semi-automatic sniper, the recoil might go off a little bit, but honestly, it's nothing you really can't handle if you're not spamming it that badly. But yeah, the M82 was definitely one of the more funner snipers to use, just because I loved spamming the trigger and just being able to snipe a lot of people in many situations, and it was just fun. I recommend for the M80, or the M82 I mean, to probably play on Nuketown once you're done with like half of the camos. When it comes to Nuketown, I mean for like maybe not necessarily your Bloodthirsties, but maybe when it comes to double kills and maybe headshots as well. Just play Nuketown. Honestly, that's probably the easiest thing I can say. And just camp in the back, and the kills should be coming to you, because people usually just peek, or they don't even peek, and you just end up killing them. But yeah, nothing too hard. At first, I honestly thought that the headshots for the snipers would have been a little bit of a difficult challenge, but the headshots were no challenge at all, in my opinion, actually. The headshots were not difficult at all. Most of the time when you hard scope in on somebody, you can either try aiming for the head or you just hit the head naturally. It is nothing to that you can't handle, like I've been saying. But yeah, if you really have the difficulty with the snipers and you just find the struggle of aiming in, just put on an iron sights, or not an iron sights, like an AHOG sights, like the one that worked for me the most was probably the 4x zoom. If you truly want to use an AHOG sight, you don't have to, but just like I said, everybody is different. You might find snipers easy, you might find them fun, or you might absolutely hate them and find them super difficult. Like I said, it's up to you. Yeah, that's really it for the snipers. And yeah, moving on to the secondaries now. Starting off with the secondaries, we have the pistols. I cannot stress this enough. Unless you're trying to have a hard time, apart from the revolver, you should probably play hardcore for all of the pistols. Just saying, probably the easiest way that you're gonna get gold for them. The 1911, all the camos for this are honestly pretty easy in hardcore. Yeah, you can have a struggle with the Bloodthirsties at times, but honestly, just have patience. Play Nuketown is the easiest and fastest way that you can get Bloodthirsties. If you honestly need core to get Bloodthirsties, go for it. But just saying, it's gonna be a little bit hard with the 1911. But yeah, for the cover kills, just do window to window from Nuketown. That's the way that I did it. I really didn't do it any other way, because pistols are pistols and they're not the best at long range. So yeah, this is the way that I found cover kills to get them the fastest and easiest way. So yeah, nothing much for the 1911 apart from the cover kills. The Diamati or the Dimitri, I don't know how to pronounce this. This is a gun that you can use in core for most of the camos, but when it comes to the long shots and the cover kills, obviously play them in hardcore. I really didn't find much struggle when it came to Bloodthirsties and etc. like that, but that's just my opinion. You should probably do the Diamatri or the Diamati in hardcore. In general, you should just do all the pistols in hardcore, but everybody has different tastes. But yeah, same thing for the cover kills. Just get from window to window in Nuketown and honestly just be patient. Wait for them to come to the window and just try to be the first one to pull the trigger. Nothing too much to the Diamati apart from that. For the Magnum, this is actually a gun that I did most of the camos in core because it is a 2-shot in core most of the time. Sometimes it is a 3-shot, but most of the time it's a 2-shot. The things that I did do in hardcore was the long shots and the cover kills because I was not trying to hit marker at long range. I want the kill guaranteed. Same thing, window to window in Nuketown. You really shouldn't have too much of a struggle. It's honestly just time consuming and how much time you're willing to put into being in that one spot for many games without end. But yeah, that's the best way that I can honestly tell you. So yeah, just make sure to be patient. The pistols are a class that did piss me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But like I said, just have patience and nothing really too difficult about them. It's all just playing the game and playing the game. When it comes to the cover kills and long shots, obviously just use that strategy from window to window. Unless you're playing a different type of game mode, then just do it your own way. But my opinion is pistols, do them in Nuketown. It is the easiest and fastest way, in my opinion. But yeah, that is really all there is to the pistols. And yeah, now we move on to the shotguns, I believe. Yes, the shotguns. Starting off with the shotguns, we have the Howard 77. The Howard 77 is the pump shotgun. I did not find that much difficulty with it for the most part, because once you start getting attachments for it, it basically gets to the point where it's even a 1-shot in core, which is amazing because I much prefer core over hardcore. But for the beginning of the shotgun, I do recommend you to play in hardcore though, just for the most part, because when you don't have that many attachments on this gun, it is a little bit harder, in my opinion, to get a lot of the things done for it, especially when it comes to the long shots. The long shots is a 50-50. I recommend you to do them mainly in hardcore, especially now since it shows you if you get the long shot or not. It is easier to tell from what locations and distances to shoot from. When I actually did this shotgun, it didn't give you medals in hardcore, so it was a little bit of a, like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know if I'm doing it or not. But yeah, for the Howard 77, nothing too difficult in my opinion. Honestly, the long shots was probably the hardest part about both shotguns. No, actually not really. Mainly just the Howard. I don't know why I found such difficulty with the pump shotgun for the long shots. I'm not too sure, but it's just how it was for me. But yeah, nothing too difficult for that. It's honestly just like I said, time consuming. When it comes to the smoke or stunned or whatever kills, for that part, honestly, Nuketown is the best option considering that it is a small map. Honestly, all you really have to do is just sit in a, like I say, in between the middle of the two buses and just start throwing the smokes down. And yeah, that's pretty much the easiest way. Or you can just use the field radio and just basically sit in a little spot and just wait for people to come into your little field radio spot. And yeah, that also works too. But yeah, nothing too hard about that part. Like I said, in my opinion, the hardest part is the long shots. But now that you can actually see your camos in hardcore, I don't think it is the hardest part anymore. But yeah, overall, the shotguns are actually a really fun class to use, especially once you get them all upgraded in core. They are pretty fun to use on Nuketown. They can be annoying to die to, but they're fun to use. But yeah, nothing really too much more about the Howard, just the long shots. Just make sure you do them in hardcore, and the beginning do it in hardcore as well. Once you get more attachments, you can go into core, and you probably start one pumping the majority of like everyone you see on Nuketown or whatever map you play on. Moving on to the Gallo SA12. The Gallo SA12, honestly, it was way easier than the Howard in my opinion. Just because you can spam it, especially when you can upgrade to the 12 bullets instead of the 7 I think it has, or 9, one or the other. But yeah, the Gallo was actually a really fun shotgun to use in my opinion. It's actually pretty strong. I didn't have that much difficulty with the long shots on the Gallo compared to the Howard. The Gallo, it was just like, I don't know. For some reason, I just hit long shots easier. It was probably because I can just spam it instead of having to wait for the shotgun to pump back. But the Howard, nothing too hard. If you want to get the camos done fast, I recommend you play a bit of hardcore, or mainly hardcore, because it's just shotguns and hardcore are just really good, especially the Gallo, since you can just spray it like crazy. But obviously, hardcore can get annoying at times, so if you do get tired of hardcore, just go to Nuketown. You won't struggle that much. But then again, like I said, it all depends on your playstyle. But in general, the two shotguns really weren't that hard. In my opinion, they were the easiest secondaries, followed by the pistols. But yeah, shotguns, not too bad. But yeah, moving on to the rocket launchers. So to begin with the rocket launchers, we have the Sigma 2, also known as the Ligma 2. This rocket launcher was probably the easier out of the two, in my opinion, just because it has the ability to lock on. For the majority of the challenges for the Ligma 2, the kills, the 50 kills, those ones aren't really that bad. You got them either while you're playing the game by shooting people on vehicles, or you can just do it in hardcore really fast. But that's one way. But for the other camos, like shooting score streaks out of the sky, the ground score streaks, vehicles, and the field upgrades and all that kind of stuff, it's not too bad. As long as you play Assault, you'll literally get those challenges done pretty fast the majority of the time, if you're asking me. But yeah, for the Ligma 2, none of the challenges are actually really hard, apart from, in my opinion, the 2 kills without dying, which actually used to be 3, but they lowered it to 2 because they realized how stupid these challenges are. But yeah, the 2 kills without dying and the double kills. Those are actually the harder parts of the Ligma 2. For the double kills, what I can recommend is flanking around spawn by using the perk Ninja, same strategy that I was telling you guys about for the point blank kills. Just flanking around their spawn in Ninja, using Ninja in the game mode Assault, and just flank around. And once you flank around, try to find a group of 2. If you find just one sniper vibing, my recommendation is don't kill them, because since it's Assault, they're probably gonna spawn right next to you again, and they're gonna hunt you down the majority of the time. So if you see just one solo, just let them be. I know the temptation to kill them might be pretty high, but just let them be. Trust me, just let them be. But yeah, just try to find a group of 2 snipers pretty relatively close to each other, and there's 2 ways you can actually do this. For the double kills, one way you can do it is actually killing both of them with 1 missile. That usually happens if you shoot one and the other one doesn't have flak jacket. And the other one is if you kill one with the bullet and then punch the other, or punch the other and then kill the other one with the bullet. That's one way you can do the double kill. So actually it's 3 ways. So yeah, it's actually 3 ways you can get the double kills. But yeah, that's the easiest way that I found it. Yeah, obviously it does take some time. For me, it took me about maybe I think an hour and a half to 2 hours of just straight flanking around their spawns to get the double kills actually done. So for the Ligma 2, that's the best way that I found the double kills to get done, in my opinion. So I don't really find it that hard. But for the 2 kills without dying, the best way that I found is actually doing it the same way. While you're going for some double kills, you actually probably end up getting a lot of the 2 kills without dying in the process. So that's one way you can do it, by just flanking around spawns. But the other way you can actually do it is playing on Nuketown Hardcore. yes, I know the spawns are horrendous on TDM, but they actually did add game modes to Nuketown Hardcore now, so it's not only TNF matches, actually more game modes. So hallelujah for you guys. But yeah, just keep in mind that when you're doing 2 kills without dying, a lot of the times people aren't always gonna, not be wearing flap jacket. People wear flap jacket a lot, especially in hardcore. It is a bit of a pain, I'm not going to lie, to kill one guy and then shooting the other one and you hit marker and then boom, you're out of ammo. Trust me, it happened to me so many times. But all you honestly really have to have is patience. You can either do the technique of flanking around spawns or simply just playing hardcore. One or the other, but you're gonna get it done. It's all about patience. But yeah, that's all I really got to say about the Sigma 2. Moving on to the RPG. Oh boy, was this gonna hassle, mainly because of the air score streaks. The RPG, for the 50 kills, nothing too bad. Actually, it was actually pretty easy if you ask me. For the ground score streaks, or the vehicles, that one actually wasn't too bad. All you really got to do, in my opinion, is just play Assault. The map where I got the most success out of any of the maps was Cartel, because of the motorcycles and the sentry guns and RCXs that are usually called on that map. They're not, the sentry guns and RCXs are pretty rare, but they more common on Cartel. But I see more people using the motorcycles on Cartel compared to people using snow speeders or the boats on the other maps. So yeah, just keep in mind, the main technique that I have for both of the rocket launchers is actually using the perk Engineer. So this way you actually know where all the score streaks and vehicles are at all times. So always have Engineer when you're going for these rocket launchers, including the Chynalake. But yeah, that's what you got to do for that one. For the 2 kills without dying and the double kills, honestly, just use the same technique as for the Sigma 2. It's actually probably going to be easier considering that the RPG aims in faster and shoots faster compared to the Ligma 2. So you probably won't have that much of a struggle when it comes to maybe doing it in hardcore or etc. Like core if you want to do it for some reason, but that's up to you. Everybody plays different game modes. But yeah, I don't think you should really find too much of a struggle with the RPG when it comes to the double kills and 2 kills without dying. It's honestly just time consuming, like I said. Honestly, it took me about an hour and a half to get all the 20 kills. I mean, 25 actually, I think it is. So yeah, ain't too much of a struggle. But now we get to probably the hardest part about the RPG. Apart from the three vehicles or score streaks per game. I'll actually get into the 3 vehicles and score streaks first. For that one, the map that I recommend the most is honestly Cartel Assault. You're not going to get it every time you queue into Assault, but when you do, try to maximize your efficiency on that. The way that I recommend this is obviously have Engineer, and at the beginning of the game, try to get onto a motorcycle and drive it to the center of the map, and then get off at the center, and then just look for any people using motorcycles, and then shoot them. Keep in mind that if you don't shoot them directly, or if you hit the ground near them, you're probably just going to hit marker them, or the motorcycle's going to end up going flying 60 feet in the air. So yeah, keep in mind, you have to pretty much hit a direct target for it to work, but Cartel has the most success rate for me. There was one game where I got 3 out of the 10 in one game. I blew up, I think, 9 motorcycles. There was 7 motorcycles and 2 sentry guns, I think. But yeah, Assault Cartel, in my opinion, is the best for that one for the RPG. But for the shooting out of the sky, as you've probably been seeing from the gameplay, I play a lot of Nuketown for the RPG, and when it comes to shooting out of the sky, I do be shooting the RPG at UAVs. What I honestly hoped for when I was going for the RPG was that people were going to use a lot more care packages, because, care packages are bigger. They should be easier to hit, right? Yeah, no, that's what I thought. Care packages are easier to hit, but you have to be pretty close to them or directly under them for your RPG to not wiggle around like crazy. If you try to shoot it from one spawn to the other, the chances of your RPG going in a straight line are really low. The RPG is probably going to wiggle around like a little worm, and you're just going to be like, what is going on? It's probably not going to work. So yeah, when you do see care packages, try to get as close as you can to them and try going for it. But the majority of the time that I did that, I honestly got killed by people around me, so I really didn't have the highest, success rate when it came to care packages. I actually got pretty much all of them done by shooting UAVs out of the sky. Yes, believe it or not, that's the main way that I did it. This camo actually took me a really long time, because obviously you're trying to anticipate where the UAV is going to be and if your RPG bullet's going to go in a straight line or go ooga booga. So for the RPG, aerial, nothing really I can say apart from playing Assault. Mainly small maps like Cartel, maybe the bow map, not really, because there's a bunch of stuff blocking the air like in the center. So mainly just Cartel. Cartel is the best for the RPG in my opinion for a lot of the camos. So yeah, mainly Cartel and Nuketown. Doesn't necessarily have to be hardcore, just Nuketown in general, but just make sure you have the Engineer perk so you see where the care package or UAVs are coming from when they get called in. And yeah. But yeah, just like you saw from the clips, just try to anticipate a little bit ahead of where the UAV is going to be. Your missile is not always going to hit. I maybe got 1 to 2 a game sometimes. Sometimes I even got 0 per game. And yes, those games are very depressing. But it's all about time. This camo maybe took me about, I think, 2 to 4 hours, I think. Or a little bit over 4 hours, actually. I don't know. To be exact, it just took me a long time. But this is where the whole, topic about dedication and patience comes into place. If you truly want this camo, then you're going to have to put the time into it. If you want it, then you have to be patient. Trust me, I wanted to break so many things in my room. I wanted to just straight up yell, and I was pissed. I was really pissed a lot with this RPG. But I was nowhere near as pissed as the Chynalake, and we'll get to that in a bit. But for the RPG, it is a hassle, okay? It is definitely a hassle. But, like I said, just put the time into it. So overall, for the RPG and the Ligma 2, nothing too hard apart from maybe just the double kills and the 2 kills without dying. But if you follow the strategies I told you or you have your own, then you should be completely fine. And for the RPG, just for the 3-in-1 game, just recommend the map Cartel. Cartel is honestly a really good map for both rocket launchers to get a lot of the camos done. But honestly, it's up to what kind of game modes and playstyles you have. So overall, that's all we have to say about the 2 rocket launchers. So let's move on to the specialists, which are the knife and the Chynalake. Alright, so we're arriving to the final 2 guns left, alright? The knife and the Chynalake. The knife honestly wasn't that bad, and mainly for me because when I was already doing my ARs and SMGs, I actually had the knife as my secondary all the time, so I got most of the challenges done like while doing those first 2 like class categories. So in reality, the knife really wasn't that much of a problem for me, but in general, I'm gonna just explain mainly how I did most of them. So for the 25 execution kills, the way I did it was mainly an assault. Same thing with the ninja, just flanking around like the snipers, and just make sure they're pretty much standing still, because sometimes if they move around, all your character's gonna do is backstab them and not actually do the execution. So just keep that in mind. Although a lot of the times when I was actually in Nuketown trying to get executions, I would be running around, and when you stab them and you're pretty close to them, it actually do executions. I don't know why, and it is pretty annoying because the amount of times and my anxiety how high it went up because I would be doing executions in the middle of the street. Just no. But yeah. For the double kills, that's pretty self-explanatory. You just really got to find 2 people close together. That's not honestly that hard in my opinion. You can just use any strategy you want for that, or just play normally and you should get it like in the process of that. So for the smoke kills, I recommend playing Nuketown, although it is probably gonna piss off your teammates a lot. Trust me, my teammates got mad a lot. They're like, who keeps throwing these smokes? But yeah, just throw smokes in the middle of the map and just vibe in there. Make sure you have the wild card, else you have 2 smoke grenades. And yeah, just vibe in your smokes and just get as many kills as you can in the smoke. Honestly, you should be able to get it done within a couple of Nuketown games. It shouldn't really take you that long. But yeah. Then just for the original kills, obviously the kills, you just get them as time goes on. Nothing too special about that. And yeah, the knife really isn't that hard apart from, I guess, just maybe nothing really hard about the knife in my opinion. It's only just time consuming. The ones that take the most amount of time are obviously the executions and probably the kills in the smoke. But that's about it. Everything else about the knife, as long as you you're fine. Honestly, there's really nothing else to say about the knife. It's just the knife. But yeah, just take your time, be patient, and executions, they do take a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a couple, like maybe 2-3 hours, just because I felt that doing execution so many times, my character would just stab them and not actually do it. But maybe you'll have better luck than me. But yeah, now we'll get to the most annoying gun in my opinion out of any of the guns on this list. The Chynalake. Dear God, I really wish I did the rocket launchers and just in general the secondaries when the game first came out. When the game first came out, not only did people not really use Flapjacket, Flapjacket wasn't the best when the game first came out. And then they decided to buff it. And not only buff it, but mega buff it in hardcore. Holy tits. The amount of hit markers that I hit with the Flapjacket, with the Chynalake because of Flapjacket is actually insane. Like, this is the gun that definitely made me rage the hardest out of any guns on this list. I wanted to break something every single time. Oh, peep, I just got an ultra kill. But yeah. But yeah, I'll pretty much explain everything that I did. So, just like most of you who are probably watching this, I searched up a lot of tutorials because I was getting so pissed of how many hit markers I was getting. Like, I was getting no progress done at all. So I searched up a lot of tutorials on how to get the Chynalake gold. Now, the downside of this is when I searched it up, the majority of the videos were all 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old, like 1 week old. Like, it was all before the update. So all these people were saying just, like, all these people, when they were showing their clips of how they were doing it, like, it was just them killing people, and everybody they killed surprisingly just did not have Flapjacket. Like, nah, bro, my lobbies were filled with people who had Flapjacket. But, yeah, pretty much I'll explain how I did it. So, for the cover kills, the way that I found it the most effective was actually on this map on Nuketown. So basically, the way that I found it most effective is shooting the Chynalake from the blue window to the yellow window. Yellow to blue does not really work out that good because people aren't always behind in cover. They're usually just chilling through the doorway or all the way in the back. So it's not always going to guarantee that it's going to be a cover kill, and probably the majority of the time you're going to get a hit marker. But from yellow to blue, from blue to yellow, I'm sorry, it's actually easier because people are normally directly behind cover. So on this map, basically from A to C, so from A house to C house, A house to C house, is actually the way that I recommend you can do it the easiest way. I actually, once I started figuring out that from blue house to yellow house, you can get a lot, I think I was actually averaging about, maybe I would say, like 7 to 8 a game, which is actually pretty good considering that you need 50. For the long shots, I actually already put the clip up, but I'll actually put it again. Basically, same thing, just shooting it from house to house, or you can shoot it from this part of the map, like on the back area, over to the other side, and that can also get you the kill. Another way you can also do it is when you're in the window of the yellow house, you actually shoot it to the garage by blue house. I know I know it might seem a little confusing with these houses, but you'll get the hang of it if you play Nuketown a lot. That one does not always guarantee that it's a long shot, but it is sometimes. But the most common one where I was getting guaranteed long shots was basically window to window on Nuketown and back of the map from any of the houses to the other side. Just keep in mind, if you're in the back of the blue house, you're probably gonna have to aim it towards the garage side of the yellow house. But you can also aim it towards the left side of the house. That also works. But mainly from the yellow house to the blue house. That's the one that I found the easiest when you're in the back of the map. But in general, window to window should work perfectly fine. And while you're doing that, you should get a couple cover kills in the process, which is honestly amazing. But yeah, for the Chynalake in general, I recommend to do all those kill camos in Nuketown. Recommended hardcore. For the equipment kills, honestly, just play Assault. If you play Assault, especially on Cartel, you'll get so many of the equipment destroyed in one game. Like, it's just going to be a lifesaver. It's going to be so fast for you. Like, don't even worry. And for the 3-in-1 game, honestly, it was a little bit hard, kind of like with the RPG. I'm not going to lie. I got a little stressed. But same thing. As long as you play on Hardtail and you have Engineer on, it should be easy peasy. You shouldn't really have a problem with it. Honestly, it's just all about time. Yes, I'm not going to lie. There were a bunch of games where I only got 2 out of 3. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It might happen to you. You're probably going to get a little mad. Don't worry. Just keep going. You're already this far. Unless you started off with a Chynalake, then oh boy, you got one way to go. But like, don't worry. It's all about time and dedication. But yeah. And then for the ground score streaks with the Chynalake, honestly, same thing. Honestly, really just play Cartel. That's honestly I can really say. That's the map where I found the highest frequency of people using care packages. I mean, not care packages, sorry. Sentry guns and RCXDs. There really wasn't many I saw on other maps, and if I did, it would take me quite a while to get to that side of the map. So overall, for the Chynalake, although it is very annoying, you're going to hit a bunch of hit markers. There might even be some games where you get no progress done. Trust me, the Chynalake took me about 2 to 3 days. It might take you a lot less time. It took me a lot more time because all the tutorials that I was seeing on YouTube were outdated. Like, for example, one of this guy said that he can play on fire team, and if you knock the guy and shoot him while you're behind the tree, that counts as a cover kill. I tried that out. It does not work anymore. It does not. I tested it out multiple games, and my bar was not moving up for the cover kills. So yeah, I don't recommend you to waste your time on that unless in one of their new updates they brought it back. But I really don't see why they would bring that back if they took it out in the first place. But yeah. This is just my recommendations on what I did for the Chynalake, and I hope it was able to help you somewhat out because this Chynalake was the hardest gun in my opinion. I know it can be a real pain for all of you. Trust me, I don't know who worked on the camos this year for Dark Matter, but holy, mans was on something, alright? Let's just say that. These camos were not easy at all for the rocket launchers, right? They were not. They were all time consuming and they were very difficult to do. But like I said, just put the time into it and you'll be getting the camos like nothing. That's actually a lie. You'll be getting them in a while after some time, but you'll get them at some point. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. And yeah, I'm actually going to show the clip where I got the final camo for my Chynalake, and that also gave me dark matter. So I'm actually going to show that clip right now, and at the end of that, I'm actually going to say something else, and then yeah, that'll be it. So hope I was able to help you out somewhat.
Hostile spy plane established.
Holy shit, what the fuck is going on? I got dark matter! Well, I'm sorry for that ear rape. Honestly, when I got dark matter, I didn't really know how else to react. It was 4 a.m. I was tired, and yeah, I kind of just turned into a tornado. But yeah, that was pretty much all my tips that I had for dark matter. But I really quickly want to mention that the reason that I didn't really talk about some camos like the headshots, the kills, bloodthirsties, or the kills with equipment like the field mics, where you're just chilling in there and you kill people when they walk in, or knifing people while injured, etc. The reason I really didn't talk about those is because I feel like those are self-explanatory. Like, I feel like it's you either have the capability of getting them or you can't. Like, there really isn't a special technique for it. If you truly struggle with headshots, honestly, just play hardcore. But I hope you guys understand why I really didn't talk about that. Like, I feel like it's just like, I feel like you should be able to understand what you need to do for those. The whole point of this is to try to help you out with I'm sorry. The whole point of this is try to help you out with the camos that I felt gave me struggle and could give you struggle. That's a little bit of the reason why I talked about this. I still talked about every class, but I didn't really go into depth on the camos that I felt like, well, they weren't needed to go into depth. But yeah. Now that that's all over, all I gotta say is I wish you good luck on your grind for Dark Matter Ultra. Yes, it is a long process. It took me about a month and a week or so. And yeah, like I said, it takes time. You might get mad a lot. You might not. You might enjoy the process for some reason. But at the end, you're going to get a camo that's very rewarding. Not many people have it, but, you get to be special. You get to be like a part of a club in a way. You're part of a special number. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to go for it. But if you do, then I wish you good luck. And honestly, you got this, man. You got this. Don't give up and just put that dedication and time into it. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope I was able to help you out at least one time throughout your journey. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.